I can almost guarantee that you guys in your private pilot training have learned about what flight following is. I kind of knew about it since, well, even before I started flight training, because I played Flight Simulator a lot. But if you guys don't use flight following, you're kind of missing out. And also the controller is kind of missing out too if you're not using flight following. Like, you're really missing out on one of the best services ATC can provide for you, basically for free. So let's break down exactly why air traffic controllers recommend you use flight following and why it's such a game changer and basically the right way to use it. So, what is flight following? Flight following is when ATC tracks your VFR flight on radar and gives you traffic advisories, safety alerts, and general situational awareness. It's totally optional, but it's incredible as well. So, let's break it down. You're assigned a discrete squawk code and tracked on radar. You stay on a radar frequency and get callouts for traffic, weather, and restricted areas. But it is not an IFR clearance, so you're still responsible for your own navigation and separation from terrain and clouds. And traffic as well. You're still kind of responsible, but ATC does give you traffic alerts so they can help you spot them. So why does ATC like it when you use flight following? Believe it or not, ATC isn't annoyed when you ask for flight following. In fact, they actually prefer it. And here's why. Here's some reasons why they prefer you use flight following. Reason number one is you become a known aircraft on their radar. They know who you are and they know where you're going. It makes traffic separation a lot easier, especially in busy airspace. So I fly within the Tampa Bay Bravo, and transitioning from north to south on the the west side of the Bravo, it can get pretty busy because we have a practice area for a flight school. We have 3 airports on that side, so we have Clearwater Air Park, St. Pete, Clearwater, and Albert Whitted, which can get very busy. And also there's a lot of jet arrivals from the north and some coming into Sarasota as well, and jets coming into St. Pete, Clearwater. So flight following basically helps the VFR traffic stay away from the IFR traffic. And when I was flying back from St. Augustine, if you guys really would like to, go watch the time building video. It's somewhere on my channel. I'll put the link in the description too. You guys can see me flying down the coast, and I asked if I should cut in, and they're like, nope, just stay down that way, and then they'll sequence me in. That's basically how flight following can help with traffic. It also helps controllers spot potential conflicts before they even happen. So this can be a wider safety margin, especially with separating traffic and in case if, something was going wrong. And it cuts down on surprise VFR traffic popping up unannounced. So basically, you don't want to be flying, for example, and just be going straight and you're like, oh shoot, there's a plane right there. That's never a good thing that's gonna happen. You don't want to be like, oh shoot, there's an airplane right there. And it also gives them a heads up if you're heading towards restricted or controlled airspace. So especially the Bravo airspace, usually majority of the time, about 95% of the time that I have gotten flight following within the Tampa Bay Bravo, I have gotten a Bravo clearance.
Alright, 713, climb, maintain VFR 3,500, you're cleared into the Bravo and change to my frequency 118.8.
Same thing for the one time that I flew to Orlando. I've gotten, or actually it's to Melbourne, we got a Bravo clearance to transition through the Orlando Bravo for clouds. But yeah, it's very helpful service, but there's still some more reasons why ATC likes you on flight following. There's also some safety benefits for you, which I kind of already talked about as well. So ATC will give you real-time traffic alerts in high traffic zones or just under haze. So they'll be like Diamond 306 Alpha Foxtrot, traffic 12 o'clock, 3 miles, Cessna 172, same altitude, passing left to right. And since they give you that call out, you can go find the aircraft and let them know if you have it in sight or if you're going to need to deviate. They also can give you weather information, but they can only see precipitation. They cannot see clouds. I have found that out the hard way. And airspace warning. So if you're about to enter a Bravo, a Charlie, or a restricted area, they'll let you know before it becomes a violation. Trust me. Air traffic controllers want to be your friend. They do not want to be your enemy. And also emergency support. So if you lose comms, engine, or need help, they already have your info, and it saves a lot of time, especially in emergency. And since you're already radar contact, you don't really need to say your position in an emergency, which cuts down on the time that you're making the radio call to the time where you can do your checklist. Alright, how should you request flight following? This is very actually simple. So what do you say on the radio? It's basically the same as getting anything else that you want. Who you are, where you are, and what you want. There's 2 different ways you can do this. You can get it on the ground, which I've never done actually. I've never gotten flight following on the ground. I've usually gotten in the air. Or you can get it in the air. Pretty simple. Let's go pick up a flight following clearance step by step. We'll use Orlando approach. Orlando approach, Cessna 123 Alpha Bravo, VFR request. And they're going to respond with Cessna 123 Alpha Bravo, Orlando approach. And then you're going to say, Cessna 123 Alpha Bravo, we are 5 miles to the north of Orlando Executive at 1,000 feet. Request VFR flight following to Albert Whitted, Sierra Papa Golf at 4,500 feet. So you kind of need to say your type of aircraft as well with this, because they're going to try to figure it out. They need to figure out what type of aircraft you are. And be ready to put down a squawk code into your transponder as well, because they're going to give you a squawk. They're going to say radar contact, and then they might say you're cleared into the Bravo as well.
Tampa approach, Skyhawk 12713.
For 12713 Tampa.
Tampa approach, Skyhawk 12713, looking for flight following from Clearwater Airport, Kilo Charlie Lima Whiskey to Gainesville, Kilo Golf November Victor. 1,500 Skyhawk.
November 12713, squawk 3676.
3676, 12713.
Or 12713 is radar contact 5 north of the Clearwater Airport, Tampa altimeter is 3029, exceed on course. What else are you looking to climb to?
3,500, 713.
Alright, 713, climb, maintain VFR 3,500, you're cleared into the Bravo and change to my frequency 118.8.
When should you really use flight following the most? Anytime you're leaving a pattern, it's probably a good idea to get flight following. My rule of thumb is get flight following if you're basically flying for more than 50 nautical miles or something. So use it near busy airspace like Bravos and Charlies. That's really the big one because it can get pretty hectic, and sometimes hectic is not good in aviation. Crossing MOAs, you should be on flight following in case there's an MOA active. And especially on cross-country flights, especially solo cross-country flights. You're probably not going to get a Bravo clearance on a solo cross-country flight, but it's still a good idea to have flight following or even a sentry just so you can have the traffic advisories. And flying near terrain or areas with poor visibility. So poor visibility is actually a big thing as well with flight following, because sometimes you can't see traffic. Even though you are VFR legal, it's still a good idea to have flight following. So let's kill a few myths really quickly about flight following. It's only for pros. No, it's not only for pros. It's for anybody with a radio and a transponder. Second myth is ATC is going to be annoyed. They actually prefer you to be on flight following. ATC is always going to want you to be on flight following. Well, not always want you to be on flight following, but they're going to prefer you to be on flight following, especially in busy airspace, so they can help sequence you around. And if they're just too busy for you, they're going to say so anyways. Third myth about flight following is you're locked into a route. That's not true. You can always change your course or cancel flight following at any time. It's not an IFR clearance where you have to say you're diverting. You can just say, we'd like to do VFR flight following to Winter Haven instead, and they're going to give you that. Or the fourth myth, you need a flight plan filed. You actually don't. Flight following and VFR flight plans are totally separate from each other. Though, using them both, they are very helpful for search and rescue in case if something does happen. I might make another video on VFR flight plans, but I've never actually made filed one before, so I don't know if I can. But yeah, there are some scenarios where flight following could have saved me. The first example was flying in Orlando. If you guys have watched my video on the 3 Bs, birds, breaks, and Bravo, flight following would have really come in handy there because I would not have to have stressed that much. But I was also a lower time private pilot. Also, near misses, those are actually really big in aviation apparently. So it's also a really good idea to be on flight following and listen to what the controller wants you to do. And you can also get a heads up on a pop-up TFR that you did not see before you took off. So you never want to fly through TFR. So if one pops up while you're flying and you don't know about it, it's probably a good idea to get flight following beforehand so you don't accidentally fly through it. And maybe diverting quickly due to deteriorating weather with ATC's help. That's also a really big thing with flight following, and they're going to try to help you out with it. So smart pilot move to get flight following. Drop a comment if you use flight following before and what your experience with it is. Or if you guys have got a good story that flight following has actually really helped you out a lot. Hit that like button if you guys learned something in this video. Make sure you guys go hit that subscribe button down below. And make sure you guys hit the bell notifications as well so you guys are notified every time I upload a new video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.